I'd like to start talking about some of the unhealthy parenting practices that were considered normal 40 years ago when I was growing up. Phrases and behaviors that were so common, parents never considered what they're actually teaching their children. Like, I'll give you something to cry about. Many children heard this from their parents. It was said when they were crying, complaining, frustrated, or just basically displaying intense emotion. When you stop and think about it, there's a lot going on. One obvious issue is the child was experiencing an emotion, and instead of helping them through it, the parent made the emotion the problem. The child isn't just crying, now they're in trouble for crying. They're not just afraid, now they're being threatened for being afraid. They're overwhelmed, and instead of being taught how to regulate, they're given another reason to feel unsafe. The lesson becomes an emotional response is unacceptable, and if you express it, it can get worse. In many families, it wasn't just a threat. This phrase was followed by physical punishment. A child could be crying because they're tired, overwhelmed, frustrated, scared, and the parent's response is to spank or hit them or punish them in some way for having the emotion. There's a blatantly obvious irony here. The child is dysregulated, so the parent responds by increasing pain and the emotion by being dysregulated themselves. And we're somehow surprised when the child doesn't become calm and magically regulated. What makes this particularly damaging is that children don't have the emotional skills that adults have. We are not born with emotional skills. We learn them. Children aren't supposed to know how to regulate every emotion. A small child having a tantrum is not trying to manipulate or being deliberately difficult to get on a parent's nerves. They're overwhelmed and they don't yet have the ability to process or put into words what they're feeling. The adult's job is not to punish the feeling out of them and break their spirit. It's to teach them what to do with the emotion. But many of us grew up being taught the opposite. We learned that fear was weakness, crying is embarrassing, anger was dangerous, and asking for comfort might make things worse. We learned to swallow our emotions. We learned to stop crying quickly or not to cry at all. We learned to say, I'm fine, even when we weren't. We learned to hide distress because showing it didn't bring comfort, it brought consequences. Then we carried those lessons into adulthood and we didn't even necessarily know where they came from. Emotionally immature parenting can have lasting and damaging effects. The parent might have believed they were teaching respect, toughness, or disciplining the child. But there's a big difference between teaching a child they can't behave however they want and teaching them that their emotions are unacceptable. You can set a boundary around the behavior without shaming the emotion. You can say, you can be upset, but you can't scream at me that way. You can be angry with your brother, but you can't hit him. I'll give you something to cry about did not teach emotional regulation. It taught children that expressing distress can make them less safe. Physical punishment during a tantrum did not teach children how to calm themselves down. It taught them when they're overwhelmed, the person in the position of authority might respond with more fear. Sometimes looking honestly at how we were raised can help us decide what we need to do differently with future generations. Have a good day.